All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, very special show. As you can see, I'm donning the lovely blue and white. It's no secret. Everybody knows I'm part of the greatest organization in the universe, Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated. But my guest is also a member of my illustrious band of Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated. Joining me all the way down south a little bit, over to the East Coast, but all the way from Riviera Beach.
Yes, sir.
Palm Springs, for those of y'all I don't know. Palm Springs, okay. But joining me, Riviera Beach, Florida. Please put your hands together for Councilman Douglas Lawson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much, Frat, for having me. I'm going to start off with a big, big blue fire to you, my brother.
Blue fire? You know.
Listen, you know.
All right. See, look. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring it down. But we are here to talk about financial literacy. All right. Y'all know how I am. Man, it's about the informational content, but the right way. Okay, so for over 20 years, Councilman Lawson has been educating individuals about ways to optimize their finances and available financial resources, okay? But we're here to talk about something that I find fascinating, and I know you've spoken on a couple of times, and that's the tax code, the U.S. tax code. And for those of us who don't really understand what that is, basically, a tax code is a set of laws that governs taxation in a given jurisdiction. Can you dive a little bit more into that?
So, essentially, the tax code was written by individuals that wanted to tax the community, provide taxation to provide development, structures, policing, fire, road infrastructure to help build up communities. There's this crazy correlation between taxation and slavery, but we'll get into that a little deeper coming soon. When you look at the fact that not only are you being taxed twice, when you pay a tax to actually go shopping, to purchase anything, to buy anything in the stores, you're also taxed when you receive your money. When you're paid, you pay a tax. And if you don't understand the proper deductions, write-off, or credits that you can receive from the government, you just think that the money that comes out of your check every first and third is just what is expected to be paid. And the individuals that see the tax code that was written understand the loopholes and understand the caveats that are put into place to offset some of the tax code, to have some barriers put for them, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's small business write-offs, whether it's deductions. There's so many deductions that are out there that I'm excited to talk about, Fred, to kind of just give that free game out so people can be prepared to understand how to save the most in their monthly, weekly checks, and also annually when they file the return next to get a return back. I'm not going to tell you, this is a get rich quick. It's literally having a structure in place and offsetting your income and expenses to make sure you benefit from the tax code that was written, not by us, but for us. Because we weren't at the table when these decisions were being made. This tax code was written by the wealthy for individuals that are median and low income. So how can somebody that makes a lot of money give all the tax breaks to the wealthy, yet the ones that are taxed the highest are the lowest incomes in our community, where it's low and median incomes? So if you just look at the disparities between having the median and low income and paying the highest tax bracket, that's concerning to me, especially when a majority of my community is in that median to low income. Because in addition to being a tax professional for the amount of years that I've been in the game, I also decided to serve my community and being an elected official. So we'll talk more about that as well, Fred.
Okay. Well, see, man, now, hey, look, man of the people, okay? Man, look, scholarship, service, okay?
Culture for service, service for humanity. Yes, sir.
Brotherhood.
Scholarship and service.
Doing that. Just give y'all a little pregame on that. Okay, all right. We're gonna keep it moving. But no, but so when I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you break this down, and as you said, it was created by the wealthy. So when I think of tax codes, I think about gentrification, those who cannot afford to live in the areas that they once were, accustomed to living in, and now they have to leave, and I know usually it's normally a price that puts them out of that neighborhood. How does the tax code play into that, or does it play into that?
Absolutely. There's so many benefits in the tax code. Home ownership is one of the tax barriers and codes that are in place that allows for individuals that actually own homes to get additional tax write-ups. So if you do not actually have a home, you don't get that homestead exemption, you don't get that tax credit that comes off when you file your Schedule A that gives you additional deductions, reducing your adjusted gross income so that you're in a lower tax bracket. That's one of the first ones, home ownership. And then also looking at the percentage of home ownership within the African-American community and predominantly white community. Okay. It's a disparaging number when you look at 40 to 50% of the African-American community is homeowners versus 60 to 70%. Just that variance between the two. Then you also look at the income levels. In addition to the single family versus dual families. In a white household, you may see an individual where it's just one wage earner. You're going to get more tax benefits from just having one wage earner in the household versus an African-American family that may have a husband and wife that are both in the working class. So that middle class is actually going to be taxed at a higher bracket than that single wage earner in the household. So the tax code was specifically written so that if you have a stay-at-home mom that's just taking care of the kids, you're going to get more deductions by being a single wage earner versus a dual household.
Wow.
So two of those major effects in this community have shown that they directly give additional credits and benefits to individuals that are catered towards culturally unbiased and disparaging towards our community. Then you look at the benefit of actually outside of the tax code, you look at the effects of government, because we talked about gentrification. Being a decision maker and being a policy maker is so vital in our community. They just say, get out and vote. But no, you want to be at the table to have the discussions because the taxes that you're paying on the properties that you own are made and determined by the policymakers on your local level. So as a policymaker, I set the tax code for the home ownership in my community. So the percentage that I'm actually putting out for the ad valorem tax of what you're paying on your property, that's set by the policymaker. So not just getting out and vote, but getting involved and engaged in your community is so important. So it goes down and it trickles down. I bring it up on a local level because that's what got me involved. 2008, I saw President Barack Obama. I saw how he ran for office, and I was excited because you had a Black man running for the highest level of leadership in our community. Right. And being that I came from, service in the frat, I was the president of my organization back at Idaho chapter, Central Florida, UCF. I was the president of the National Panhellenic Council. I served on the student government. So I was engaged and involved at a young age. But it wasn't until I saw that I had a role or a position in governance until I saw our great president, President Barack, running and going in office and actually winning, that I decided to get involved. Because the decision makers in regards to the code, from national, federal to state to local, is what is so important. And seeing that he came up the ranks from a local legislator, from a local community advocate, all the way up to the president, I said, hey, I can do that too. But the policies that they set at that federal level also trickle down to a local level. And we have to make sure we're engaged at the table, like I said, to make the decisions. Because policies that I set may price out families, may cause for them to be gentrified or displaced, may cause for them to not be able to afford to sustain in that community because they can't afford the taxes or the millage rate that we set as a community. Boy. So it's Frat, when I say is deep and just kind of, pulling back the curtain and seeing so much now, that's why I set up my tax office in the heart of my community, because we have the second lowest median income in Palm Beach County, which is one of the biggest counties, Tri-County, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade in Florida. Mm-hmm. So having the second lowest median income in my community, but having one of the wealthiest communities with the highest tax base, because we have a barrier island, a port, and a railroad, it's understanding that I had to teach this financial literacy and education to the residents of my community. So I set up shop right in the heart of my city 10 years ago. So it was important to me to actually try to educate more about the tax code and the disparities between the two.
So how has that been received by the community? Like, when you set up shop, like, what have been some of the biggest gains that you have had in doing this with the community?
Going from being a small business owner, starting off with 15 people to now employing probably about 140 people within my brand and my business, teaching about financial literacy and setting up and opening my nonprofit business, which is also another tax barrier and break that so many corporations are doing with nonprofit. I opened up an organization under Infinity Tax and Beyond called Infinity Foundation. We teach financial literacy to residents from the community of minority race, age, seniors, youth. One of our biggest programs is Bridge to Infinity. It's called a Youth Entrepreneurial Camp. It teaches entrepreneurship, trades, teaches how to write a check, how to balance a checkbook, teaches about credit to kids between the ages of 12 to 17. So that program was bridged off of the fact that I set up my business in the heart of my community, and there was a need for it, that education of the community.
That's what's up, man. Look,
so it was received very well, and we grew tremendously. We've done very well within the business, and we have 3 locations, 2 in Palm Beach, 1 in Orlando, and we're doing well in the private sector. So it gives us an opportunity to really showcase, educate, versus just kind of going to an H&R Block or one of these Get Your Millions Back America commercials that they're airing TurboTax. Don't want to knock anybody. I love everybody that's out there, but it's teaching everything that you're filing as opposed to the data entry that they want you to do.
Okay, Frat. And people, y'all know, I love y'all, but I gotta do this. Frat, you just mentioned something. You just mentioned a couple of companies there, but I want to talk about something that I know we talked about before we started recording, but you just mentioned it, these get rich quick type, schemes. Yep. You go on social media, there's all kinds of, TikTok videos, there's all kinds of Instagram reels or what have you that, tells you about using business credit. Well, you know what, if you have a good, credit score, you should have an LLC, right. You should do this with your LLC, and you should do that, you should do this, and you should do that. But you're listening to these people and you want to make money, but how can you trust it? So tell us, how it is that, Lawson Solutions and Infinity Taxes and Beyond, sets people up, the correct way of using the business credit.
Yes. The process is very simple. It's number 1, educating yourself on the proper steps you need to take. Anybody can tell you anything you want to hear. So they can collect a check off of you, or that they can get more likes and follows. You want to just make sure that you're learning what's the difference in filing your business, whether it's an LLC or an S Corp, the tax benefits and breaks that you have with filing that business. Also looking at the process of a nonprofit, seeing what the benefit is of running a nonprofit, because nonprofits can be very profitable because you have to have staff that works it. You have to have your tax write-offs and your benefits that come with it, and you have to zero out your balance. It doesn't mean that a nonprofit is not profitable. You have to pay all the bills and debts that come with a business, but you have to zero out that debt at the end of the year, which is going to be your budget. So that budget that you zero out still has to have operating expenses, still has to have overhead, still has to have a CEO. And so many corporations take dollars from their LLC, their S Corp, and pour into the nonprofit, and then they're paid as a director through their nonprofit. So you have to understand the differences between the type of businesses that you're filing and why you're filing them. What's the benefit of having an LLC versus S corp, and why you actually do an LLC, limited liability corporation? What's going to be the benefits of actually obtaining credits? How do you actually get associated with the banking? What's going to be the issue if you're actually, somebody files a suit against you? Will you be liable with this company and all the assets that you've obtained? Or will your family be liable if you have an S corp versus LLC? So it's first figuring out what's the basis between properly filing, and then building that and filing your taxes properly on them so that you can actually build up the credit for that business. Because your credit is based upon your DUNS number that goes and associated with those businesses.
Right.
So if you're filing a business, you get an EIN number from the IRS. Now you're filing taxes on it. That's what the credit bureau is going to look at and say, hey, you filed your business. I see that you have income. Let's go ahead and start to issue you credit. Outside of your personal credit, you start to build now your business credit. And that's going to be a simple process of looking to creditors and utilizing the credit that you're establishing with the business that you set up. You can truly set up business credit within a short period of time. There's merchant accounts that you can run through. There's branding where you can purchase depreciating or appreciating assets through. Purchasing a car is one of the biggest ways to boost and build your business credit if you take the proper steps. Nonprofit, a credit union, setting up your business through a credit union, and then seeing all the benefits of whether it's a secured loan, whether it's a secured credit card, or whether it's an unsecured credit card, using your LLC or your S corp. So you have to just educate yourself first and foremost of what you need and what's going to be the best interest of yourself, and then taking the proper steps necessary, because there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. It's education, it's proper steps followed, and then it's following them to a T. And when you make your missteps, because we all do, you make sure that you understand why you did that way you did, or what you did that way, and then correcting it so that you can actually move forward with building it. Because myself, I went into a deep place of investing into a Ponzi scheme back in 2008, of losing multiple properties through short sales and foreclosures because of the market crash, of being a young man that had a lot of money and lost all of it because I didn't have a proper mentor and guidance and support and educate myself with the right network around me. So having a lot of money, enjoying life, and then losing it all, it hurts. It's a struggle, and it's something that we have to learn and live from, and being able to rebuild it back is something that I'm blessed to say I've been able to do. But learning from example and trying to teach people not to have to go through what I did is what you have to really be prepared for.
Man, look, I'm just sitting back and I'm just soaking it all in, and like, it's much deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the tippy top of the iceberg, okay? Like, and that's one thing about an iceberg. You don't know how huge it is because you're only looking at one portion of it. There's a whole other life form underneath, So, I mean, you just giving us the crust of, everything, man. I'm thankful for it. But let me just ask, and you just mentioned something, like there are, some young African Americans out here with a little bit of money, they're not like well off, but they're okay, and they're living life as, they should. But what I've come to realize, in my almost 50 years of living, it's not about what you're doing now, it's about what's going to happen later on in life. Can you maintain? Can you sustain what it is that you're doing for the long run?
Yep.
How can we, and when I say we, as man, we in the African American community, most of us live beneath a certain wage. But for those of us, and I know you said discipline, I know it takes discipline, and yes, I know that is key, but what will be some of the first steps towards that discipline? Because, hey, if I'm living check to check, but I know there's a much better way than what it is that I'm doing. How can what's the first step, that they can make towards, pivoting towards a better career or better life than the one that they're currently living? Sorry if you understood all that.
Absolutely. It's stabilizing yourself and centering yourself to understand what it is that you want to do. Um, One thing that I learned quickly is that I was just kind of filling everybody else's cup and pouring out of my own. And you're no good for anyone else unless you've taken care of yourself. You've got to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and personally in a great place to be able to be impactful for yourself, for your family, and for anyone else you try to satisfy or please. So it was just kind of getting myself to a place of happiness, of enjoying my life and waking up every day with the blessings that God bestowed upon me. So those were just some of the basic things that I had to start with saying, okay, what is it that I want? And creating a plan, writing it out and outlining your plan, educating and reading on everything that you want to accomplish from that plan, and then honing in on it and saying, okay, I want residual income. I want passive income. I want multiple streams of income. I want to serve my community. I want to be an amazing father. I want to be an excellent husband. I want to be the best son and brother I could be. Outlining that and having a plan and following it was something that truly helped accomplish it. Because once you get yourself centered and you write out what you want and you post that on your wall, you accomplish those dreams because you see and you look to them every day and say, this is what we need to do. And you go towards it. So the vision is to say, have a plan in place and go towards it. Now, there's going to be so many people that tell you how to get there, what to do. You're going to have family members, you're going to have friends, you're going to have business partners, you're going to have associates that are always going to tell you based upon their experience and their life lived of how to get there. But you're the only one that can make the decision of how you're going to get there. And you can take a little piece of everybody's insight and take the very best to say, okay, I'm going to use this. I'm going to take this. That was good for me. But you got to just focus on you of what needs to get there. So having a plan is the most important thing that helps set me apart from being able to climb out of that dark, deep place that I was in to be able to get back to a place of light and joy.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Have that plan, y'all. Man, work that plan, see what it is you want, and, pretty much as you just said, write it down.
Write it down.
Man, vision board, whiteboard, notebook, whatever, man, something visible, whereas when you look at it, hey, you're checking it off as you're getting it done. So that's just what it is. Okay. Now, look, if people are looking, man, to know more about what it is that you do or your services, this, that, what have you, how can they find you? Social media, websites, emails, things of that nature.
Absolutely. Well, currently I'm a serial entrepreneur. So you can reach me on my social media, which is Lawson Solutions, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can reach me on my website, which is infinitytaxandbeyond.com, lawsonsolutions.com. Those are the easiest ways to just kind of reach out directly to me, directly to the organization, to be affiliated with us when it comes to financial literacy, business development, credit restoration, and real estate. Those are just some of the main things that we have to focus on, because most importantly in our community is just understanding the finances, understanding your investments, understanding the vehicles that's going to get you to that freedom that you look forward to just having that passive income, to having that residual income, and having the ability to retire safely and sound. So infinitytaxandbeyond.com is actually the very best place to just register, and myself or the agent will reach out to you within 24 hours max. Social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and we're in the heart of Riviera Beach, but we work with people across the entire nation.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. There it is. Real quick. Now, I just wanted to get your thoughts on something. And, I always hear 50-50 on this. But when I hear people talk about reinvesting back into the neighborhood and maybe the neighborhood is unsavory, why is that a good idea? Why is that a bad idea?
So I believe it's a good idea because I believe in standards that were created by amazing mayors that set policy. Maynard Jackson back in the late 60s and 70s in Atlanta, Georgia. James Gardner from Hempstead, New York. Individuals that literally invested into the community and set policy to actually create the community. Tulsa, Black Wall Street. It's creating a network where the dollar circulates multiple times in the community. Now, it's a heavy lift. It's not easy because now you're investing in rebuilding something that may not be stable, may not just need the support or foundation. But once you invest into where you've come from, you're building a stable foundation for yourself and for your community. I invested back into my community because I wanted to kind of be something that, you know, the community could stand on, we could support and hold each other up and grow together. So I bought real estate, I've developed homes, I've created home ownership programs. I've also renovated and sold my own properties to first-time home buyers, because you want to teach that literacy and investment into people from the community, for the community, by the community. So it's definitely important to pour back in, and that's, you know, a preference and opinion, but it just depends on what your passion, what your goal is. My goal is where I came from. It's literally vesting into the people that vested into me as a kid, as I was a knucklehead running these streets. I'm gonna pour back into the community that I terrorized for so many years to make sure I build it back up, so that the kids coming after me know that they don't have to go the same route that I was going when I was young.
Ladies and gentlemen, we call that cultural competence. All right, people that look like us, making big moves, and they can show us the way, you know, because they were once where we were, and now, man, we want to be on that side as well, so we can, you know, set the trend forward as well and pay it forward, and the next generation can pay it forward, and the generation after that, and the generation after that, where,
yes, sir,
man, next thing you know, you look up, hey, we have the whole state, ladies and gentlemen, okay, and then we're gonna have the whole region, next thing you know, the country. But there it is.
Takeover is real.
All right. Man, look here. Look. Seriously, I've enjoyed this conversation. Man, I've just enjoyed the nuggets you dropped. And I know this won't be the last time I personally talk to you. But look, I'm just going to say this now. The doors to Word with Ty Brownlow are always open to you. You know what I'm saying? Also, because he's Pratt, ladies and gentlemen, you know, he's part of the world's, you know, greatest organization here. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I mean, man, the doors are always open to you. Whatever else you got going on, man, we would love for you to come back, drop some more financial literature, knowledge, drop those bombs on us, because that's what we need in order to improve our community and take it to the next level, so we can pivot out of where we are now and into a much better situation. But, Councilman Lawson, let me say something before we leave here. Now, my show is known for, you know, the slogan, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. But we're also known for our question, all right? And I can't let you leave without answering this question. Councilman Douglas Lawson, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
The one word that best describes me and why. Honestly, leader.
Come on.
I stand on my morals. I try to lead by example, and I've shown many people the rights and wrongs of what I've experienced, and asked them just to tread their own path, to forge forward, and to just follow some of the things that's right. So I try to make sure that I lead by example and lead my community, my business, my household, my family, my friends. So, a leader.
There it is, y'all. Leader. Hey, him to pick the better word, all right? And, you know, man, community. You know, man, he's doing it for his family. He's doing it for the city. But most importantly, the community, okay? Man, he's serving the community that he lives in. He's like taking those around him, building them up so they can build others up. So, hey, you know, we look up and we can sustain what we have for the next 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 plus years, okay?
Yes.
All right? We don't have to worry about getting priced out, all right? So, there we have to
teach that generational wealth. We have to teach something that my family's one generation out of slavery. My family came over from Jamaica. So it's understanding that I had immigrant parents that came to this country for a better life. We don't have years and years and years of generational wealth passed down to us. So it's teaching that to ourselves and to our young ones to keep moving forward. So just trying to move forward as a positive direction and support each other so we can uplift each other. So the montage, the mindset of crabs in a barrel can be dead. we have to be uplifting and grow and put each other on each other's back to get each other out the bucket.
There it is. There it is. Blue 5. Okay.
You know.
That's what it is, y'all. Like, man, look, I can't do nothing about it, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I just can't. Look, that's just life. That's just life. All right.
They make these stigmas differently, brother. They make the stigmas differently.
I mean, you know, look, I mean, but anyway, no, man, look, it's been an honor. And as I said before, I would love to have you back. And man, I look forward to speaking to you in the future as well. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me all social media platforms, Word with Ty Brownlow, or go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Get this wonderful interview, plus other great interviews as well. Councilman, we out. Peace.
Thank you, brother.